Are they?
Yep. What's up, Chris? It's Friday.
Friday? Friday
Friday.
already? How did we get to Friday again so quickly, Jay? I feel like we were just here.
I'm telling you.
Um, yeah, yeah. All right, welcome everyone to the e-commerce hour by On the Rocks, where mostly as it relates to technology, but not only, as we'll talk about today. um, Last week, Jay, I don't remember what did we talk about last week? Doge?
Last
No,
week.
I don't remember. I don't remember. You can tell I'm like I really spent a lot of time on
Oh,
the agenda
wow.
this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did we talk about? It doesn't matter. You know what we're talking about this week, Jay? We're going to talk about shipping. Um, there
Shipping.
are there are loads of news articles that come up all the time related to shipping and the timing of shipping and how shipping works, um, how people are trying to take advantage of shipping, and so it felt like shipping and logistics was a good conversation topic for today. We'll break down some of the key challenges and solutions, key challenges, and then separately solutions in e-commerce shipping and logistics. And then we'll cover how to make sure that you're meeting your customer expectations for fast and free delivery. We'll talk about the Amazonification of everything and all the things that go along with that. We'll talk about how to navigate last minute delivery issues. We'll talk about optimizing fulfillment. And then, of course, as we are wont to do, we will talk about leveraging technology and AI to reduce costs. And so, the most important thing to do there, right, is to talk through like why this matters. And I think we touched on it already by saying the customer expectations are at an all time high. Like they're just higher than they've ever been before, because everybody expects things to be quickly, and they expect them to be on time, and they expect them to be exactly what they were wanting. And then more importantly, even I think, is that when those expectations aren't met, you're so much more likely to have people leave, never come back, or to leave you bad reviews, so that the next person that wants to come and buy your product has a little bit of hesitation. These types of things, like they impact your conversion rates, your cart abandonment, like just everything that goes along in your business overall. Um, and and I think that there's a good statistic that highlights this. We talked about this last week, but without the actual like data to, without the like survey data. But there was a survey where 81% of consumers are expecting free shipping. So that means that they expect that shipping to be free for their purchases. That's 81%. That's a really high percentage. And then another 68%, they provide extra value, or like have higher value um, on fast shipping. So those like quick 2 day turnarounds. In fact, like we talk about the Amazonification of stuff, but even Walmart like reaches 93% of households with same day delivery. So it's not just Amazon that's doing this. It's a lot of the players in the product consumption space. so so what do you do to compete? Like how can you even do that? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Um, Jay, if as you think about those problems, kind of from a global perspective, is that are there other things that you find that people would run into as challenges, or that are issues that need to be addressed these days?
Well, some challenges that are out there are delays and shipping
Yeah,
snafus.
sure.
It ended up getting crushed in shipping or something like that.
Yep.
Or in my recent case, delivered to the wrong address.
Right.
Uh, yeah, so one of those Walmart same day deliveries.
Ended up at your neighbor or something.
It ended up somewhere else. It wasn't my door that they sent me a picture of.
Right.
And did they handle it right? No, they didn't, and I'm not going to get into that. But they classify that as lost after delivery.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, interesting, isn't that? So
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting when this topic came up and that happened. But I think the other side of it is, when you do have shipping snafus, you have to deal with it head on and take care of the customer because they planned on having that item in their hands for a specific purpose on a specific time, and it's not there. You're dealing with disappointment, And like you said, they might not ever show back up at your site, but
Right.
it's how you deal with it moving forward that's going to make the big difference. But let's talk about things about how to never get to that point. Let's
Right.
talk about the positives and how to make corrections and move forward with that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that starts with again, like we know that there's this Amazon effect. We know that there's this psychology of fast and free shipping. I want it now and I want it cheap. And this has been a shift in expectations from like a 5 to 7 day delivery to a 1 to 2 day expectation, right? Um, this impacts grocery delivery, right? Your Amazon issues, it's meal kits, it's everything is expected to be driven by. I mean, these types of habits, right, are out there in space and are making it much more likely to for people to do that, right? And so if you think about Walmart as an example for this, right? They've used geospatial technology to expand that same day reach, right? So they use this. They have used technology with the intention of making it easier for them to be able to deliver. And then it also talks. There's also some evaluation of just the delivery density, right? So because Walmart has so many different things, right, they can serve multiple customers in one route, which is a big impact. So how does that impact smaller brands? Like what are the things that you can do, right? And that's exactly what we're here to talk about, right? The first one of those is to consider alternative strategies, right? Jay, when I think about alternative strategies for this, right, the one that comes to mind most is spend X dollars and get your shipping for free, right?
Yep.
And so this is a thing that will push up your average order value, like we've talked about. And especially if it's like just above your most popular products, like you'll get the little add-on item, all of those types of things, which can again be really valuable for what we're doing here. Um, so I see this regularly, and in fact, one of the e-commerce brands that I buy things from the most frequently, that's Viori, they have a $75 shipping threshold. If you spend $75, shipping's free. If you don't, you gotta pay for it. And so that typically means instead of buying one product, you're buying two. And so it is. That's one way to combat this, right? A second one is through subscription models. And Jay, when I think about Walmart Plus or Amazon Prime, like those things that we actually just got our Amazon Prime delivery today. When you know that item is going to be purchased, you can do a lot more planning
Right.
around how to deliver it, when to deliver it, and in what way to deliver it. Because if you've got that subscription base, instead of saying, we're going to deliver it in 24 hours, like you can now plan for that, right? We're going to deliver it in 1 month from today. So we can do the right planning to find the cheapest and most effective solution for making those deliveries for you.
Well, and
Uh,
also adding subscriptions in there, you could schedule your normal monthly deliveries of certain items.
right,
Let's
right,
say let's say you want to get a new pair of sneakers every month. You could
yeah,
set that up, and on the first of the month, they're going to arrive. Whatever the color of the month they decide to send you, or whatever that
right,
happens to be. Or it
right.
could be, your paper towels or whatever you're using at your home. But
Yeah,
the best part of having the subscription for me is my daughter can say, I need something while she's at college, and I can go
right,
on there and just have it sent to her and not have to worry about it.
right.
And I know it's safe. It's getting done. She's going to be happy. That's the most important thing. So make
Yeah,
sure
for
you
sure.
take care of your spouses and your children, and you too will remain happy. But the other thing that I'm thinking of there is uh, making shipping free, but increase the price a little bit on your items to cover that shipping.
Right.
So
Yeah.
but people will buy just because you say free shipping, and they might pay that little extra for that product, knowing that
Right.
you're not billing them separately for it. Um, the other thing is you could throw in like free ground shipping and upcharge for expedited shipping. There are a lot of alternatives that you can do there.
Right. Yeah. Um, yeah, like you're saying, like you can definitely make you can change the price of products, like you're talking about, right, to provide a discount for the longer period delivery. And I think that that's a strategy that I've not ever seen, but I think is a really valuable one. Does that
Well, you've
have
never
you
seen
seen that in
it.
practice?
You've never seen it because you didn't realize it because you go, you know, when you're going through like Shopify school and stuff, they're like
uh,
free shipping sells. So you never know because the site just offers free shipping,
right.
and they have already included that in the price. So that's one of those things that you might not know, but you've already partaken in it.
Yeah, and I'm probably a very good example of exactly that for sure. Um, yeah, so I think those are some strategies to combat like the ability of these bigger companies to use the geospatial technology to
For
use
sure.
delivery density to get this value. Doing a handful of different things like that can really make a difference for you. Um, Jay, we hear a lot about the last mile or the last little step of delivery. Um, can you talk a little bit about like what that even means and why it can be so challenging?
Yeah. So a lot of companies will use, let's say, UPS or DHL. DHL is a good one as well.
Hmm.
They will ship their products through the national carrier,
Right.
get it to the regional postal office, and then the mail carriers will do the local delivery. So it's no different than it's like telephone service. The phone service
Yep.
goes to the junction box, and then that last mile depends on the carrier that you're using. But
Yeah.
in this case, you know, DHL or I mean UPS has trucks going to the neighborhoods anyway, but
Right.
it's usually a cheaper service to have the U.S. Postal Service deliver it for that last mile. So they do the bulk of the shipping to the distribution centers. That distribution center then in the locality then sends it off to USPS, and they deliver the products to you. Um,
Right.
Amazon now has their own trucks doing some of that local last mile.
Yeah.
They do have contractors driving their own vehicles. I've
Uh huh.
spotted them in the neighborhood at 5 in the morning. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, that looks suspicious. Oh, they're dropping packages. Okay.
That's yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and
So,
that last part of the shipping, and I think this is an important thing to think about there, right? Is that represents as much as 50% of the shipping costs
right.
because it is so difficult. It's not that hard to get the product from China to your local warehouse, but to get that from your local warehouse to the customer, that part becomes so much more expensive because it takes two different services to get those last legs or something like that. And so, and again, like your customers have this expectation that they're going to understand like when it's coming and how it's coming, and it's not, like, it's different than the cable guy um, who's supposed to like come between 12 and 4. Like that isn't the way that people want their shipping to be, right? They want to know like when's the UPS truck coming, like where's it at right now, let me get a picture of it, like.
The thing I find interesting though, when I have a package that's coming that way, I'll look at
uh
the tracking and it says, okay, it's shipping, it's due at the warehouse at, let's say today.
yeah, sure.
And, the estimated delivery date is tomorrow. But then you look at it, it's like, oh, it got delivered at 6 a.m. Oh, it's on the truck for delivery. I'm going to have it today. So by doing that, they can actually get it out sooner as well
Yeah.
because there are different cutoffs for the different services, and depending on who is that last mile carrier, it could get
Yeah.
there the same day.
Yeah, right. Right. And there can be really big impacts from being able to manage that process appropriately. In our research for putting together information here, we there was a case study for Parts Source, which is a healthcare equipment provider, and in that cost study, by by making a few different things, by doing a few different things, right? Making a few different changes and evaluating information in a few different ways, they improved their on-time shipping accuracy by 10%. Which I know that number seems pretty small, but like we talked about before, the on-time rates for UPS and USPS are something like 90%. So going from 90% to whatever, like 95 or something like that, is a that's a pretty big shift, right? So a 10% change can be a very significant change. And they did that through a couple different factors, and one of them was actually, no surprise here, Jay, but using better tools. And so that between supplier performance tracking and vendor management tools, that helped them to understand like where their things were along the way, so that they could identify areas where there might be inefficiency or where there might be a lack of some of the stuff that they would need to be able to make sure that the estimated shipping dates were accurate. And so when you take that technology together, and especially as we've talked about here, there's so many people that are investing in technology in spaces like this, that they're going to continue to be like really good options here. And so I think what you'll find is that the that some of those technologies that are going to be out there to improve that last mile delivery stuff are going to be like real time route optimization tools that reduce the delays, that help to cut fuel costs. I still remember a long time ago. It's been several years now, but it was there was a and Jay, maybe you can tell me more about this, right? UPS used to like only turn to the right. Um, I I don't know if this was just like urban legend or if it's actually true, but I always in college we were doing an operations management course, and they talked about how UPS had attempted to like make their routes so much more efficient by just making sure that they're turning right all the time, so that they're never like having to sit at a light turning left and crossing across traffic. That they're just always turning to the right to make it easier to make sure that they're not like stuck as much. Is that an old wives' tale, or is that actually true? Do you
No,
know?
that actually is true. I forgot all about that till you said
Yeah.
it. Because when I was in one of my prior businesses and UPS
Uh-huh.
was showing up every day, I actually
Right.
asked the guy about that. He's like, "Yeah, we if we have to turn left, we will. But if we can
Yeah.
go right and just keep going right, I mean, they set their routes up so they do that. So
Yeah. Exactly.
it is more efficient. And think about that. It's like in New Jersey, there are no left hand turns. You go
Yeah.
right through a jug handle and go across. It's kind
Right.
of weird that way, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's just inefficient, I guess.
Yeah. And so some of the areas where I think that you'll continue to see this is also in what we talked a little bit about this last week, the micro fulfillment center, or more like the retail partner, right? Where now you can pick up your thing in Target or in Kohl's, like you can with some of the Amazon stuff. I don't know if they're still partnering with them, but you used to be able to drop off some stuff in Kohl's. I know I did it at least once or twice, where you can just you can take it somewhere else or pick it up somewhere else. That ability to have like a network of places that you can pick things up in a much smaller area, so that you can get things to people more quickly. Like that's going to speed up that time. It's also going to give you better and more precise information on when the timing of your delivery is going to happen. Um, and
So
then
true.
and then we've also been talking about this, Jay, too, is that another thing that you can do is to effectively like crowdsource your delivery network. You just mentioned this with respect to Amazon, right? They're not crowdsourcing it so much, but they are asking people in the community to do these deliveries, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this with Uber Eats, and with DoorDash or
Mm-hmm.
whoever it was, right? Like those different platforms where you can use those tools as an alternative to some of these other last minute things, because you can get it more timely, and because especially if you can manage a couple different things in a route at the same time, like you can bang out a few at a time, which can be really really effective. And so Jay, I think with technology tools like this, there are a few tips that we can give to folks right right now, as far as it goes to last minute shipping or the last mile shipping, and it starts with choosing the right carriers and fulfillment partners. So understand what your options are. make sure that you don't leave options out, because you do want to make sure these the crowdsourced delivery option is an option for you. You want to make sure you take advantage of it. Absolutely. You also want to offer multiple shipping speed options, right? We've talked about that too, of how you can even layer in different value to them by providing other strategies, techniques, or whatever, right? And then, of course, I think a very valuable thing and something that's really important to consumers right now is providing real-time tracking, proactive notifications. Hey, your thing's coming. It's going to be there in an hour. It's going to be there in 45 minutes. He's at the last stop. He'll be your next. All those different things. And Jay, do you have any extra thoughts about last mile shipping and kind of the things that we would want to think about there?
Well, I think you hit on most of it there, and
Yeah.
I think that key there is checking rates, and if
Uh-huh.
you have the right tools in place, you can check those rates. I did see a story this morning that
Hmm.
USPS is going to double their rates by the end of this year.
Yeah.
So that's going to make a huge impact to what that last mile delivery might be.
Right.
So definitely keep an eye on that. And, you know, yeah, last mile is great. And, I think a lot of the shipping comes down to what the cost is and what you can offer. And, as your volume goes up, keep checking with your carrier for discounts because they
Yeah.
will keep discounting it the more packages you ship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's an important reminder. It's the same, it's a very similar reminder to the one that I was going to say, and that is that, like, check your prices regularly, right? The prices do change, right? And so if you are using USPS, know that a rate change is coming. And if that's the case, then you also want to be able to be prepared to make a change or understand whether that rate increase is going to change the position that you're in, right? Like I think that's an important thing to remember. Um, then the next point that we wanted to talk about today was how to simplify and optimize your logistics, especially as you scale. And Jay, I think one of the biggest challenges there comes uh, from managing multi-channel fulfillment, right? So, what kinds of things can you do when you're selling on lots of platforms? Because that means that just inherently your logistics are going to be more complicated because you're going to have to know if it's here or if it's there or where it needs to be, or you're going to have five different places where you need for it to be at the same time, right? There's a lot of what do we do there?
For sure.
And so I think Jay, I think you'd agree. Like e-commerce brands suffer when they have too many disconnected things, right? So one of the things that can be really important is to consolidate and streamline, right? You want to integrate your shipping, your order management, and your inventory all into one system if you can, right? Like that becomes so much more powerful in allowing you to do and make those decisions that you need to make for getting inventory to the right place.
Yeah, as
Um,
long as your systems are connected, you can have multiple systems, but
right.
you don't want to have, Shopify's out here, Walmart's over here, Amazon's here, and not know how much stock you have in each of those sales systems
Right.
because you never want to oversell. Uh, Odds are Walmart and Amazon are fulfilling it. They're in their warehouses. Shopify might be using one of their warehouses, and you want to make sure that that product is still there. So if you're using a tool, let's say like Send7 Core, and you're tracking that inventory, it's going to keep all those sites updated and in sync, so they know how much inventory is out there. So I
Right.
think that is a huge key to understanding that. And by doing that, you also have the ability to forecast how much you're going to need to make sure you always have inventory on hand.
Right.
Different
There are some
topic, but important.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean it's connected, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, like that is actually the next thing here, right? Is there are tools that we talked about Sin7 as a tool, but there are also AI driven inventory placement tools. So not just the management tool, but also tools that help you to say, I want to strategically store my warehouse, my inventory in this warehouse and that warehouse because of how demand works or how the demand is working for me,
Yeah.
right? And if you think about 3PL partners that are dispersed across the United States, like if you whatever for whatever reason your product sells significantly more volume in the Northeast than it does on the West Coast, then maybe that Atlanta warehouse needs a little bit more inventory than the Salt Lake one, because you want to make sure that you're being able to be responsive to the demand timely.
Well, the
Um,
other side of that is, maybe you need to add another warehouse in the Northeast, because what you really want to look at is the I, to do it efficiently, most
mhm,
cost effectively actually, is to use ground delivery.
mhm,
And like with it was funny having to manage this at one point, because it used to be any shipment within Florida would get there in the same day on FedEx and UPS.
mhm.
Next thing you know, UPS says, "Oh, if your products are in Atlanta, anywhere from Atlanta through all of Florida, express ground same day." Within a month, FedEx had that up and running, and so by doing so, now if the product was in Atlanta, it got to Charlotte, anywhere from Charlotte all the way to Orlando or Florida in a single day. And I don't remember where the locations were up in the Northeast, but same there. If you, it's somewhere equidistant between like New York and DC. It would get
Right.
there in a single day. So by doing that, you're helping expedite that shipping and getting your products out without having to pay that second day, or having to have the expedited shipping fees. So you're making your customers happier, and the product's getting delivered faster. So I mean, you just
Which is
want to, that's
also
that
an
whole
important thing,
thing
right?
about localizing those warehouses.
Yep. Yep. It is it's a really important thing to do. And there's no question that by doing that, like we've talked about the ways that it will reduce reduce your costs, and also provide better and more positive customer results. Um, Jay, as you think about like scaling logistics and simplifying and optimizing your solutions, right? We talked about using strategic inventory placement. We talked about integrating everything into one key source of data so that you can manage from that key source of data. Are there other um, tips, tricks, strategies, thoughts that you have around how to simplify or to optimize that your shipping system?
I would just recommend using a very highly technical shipping system that can do
Right.
that for you. And
Yeah.
if you can't get that out of the off the shelf packages, let's say like ShipStation or something, you could build your own data warehouse, pull that data off of it, and
Hmm.
build AI into that data warehouse to start doing some of those things that you were talking about, to strategically predict, okay, in these summer months, we're shipping more to this area of the country, and
Yeah.
help you stage that product up there, and know where you need to have it. So it's things like that. I mean, be agile, and if what you need isn't in the software you're using in today's day and age, just let's build it ourselves, and make sure we have what we need.
Right. Yep. Super, super powerful. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Jay, we've mentioned technology throughout everything here, but the future of e-commerce logistics includes not shockingly, not surprisingly, but automation and AI. We've talked about the investment that several companies have made in different products that are helping to do some of those things that we talked about, like geospatial understanding, about warehouse management, about Amazon and finding the box on the truck faster. Like there are so many advancements that are happening in this space that it's truly hard to keep track of. And because of that, manual processes. So if you were to load a truck yourself or something crazy like this, Like that's just not going to be able to be scalable, right? You need a solution or a set of solutions that are going to integrate automation tools in order to help make everything more efficient. And Jay, I know we've talked before about your stories around the backup that comes when you don't when you don't have a really efficient, well-designed system here. Do you want to talk about that again, or do you want to just talk about ways that we can utilize AI to transform logistics? Do you want to talk about what that problem causes, and then we can talk solutions?
Yeah, I mean, for a seller, the problems are multifaceted because
Right,
if items are delayed, eh, customers not happy, they're
right,
going to tell friends about it. They're going to complain about it on social media. So now you're having multiple issues. So now you're fighting on the back end with your shipper. You're trying to handle the customer, and then you're trying to
right.
do uh, PR on the front side. So that's what happens when things go bad. So what you want to do is try to avoid it, and when things do go bad, get in front
Hmm.
of it. And if you have the technology in place, and something's going to happen, like a package is going to get lost,
Right.
or in the case I brought up a couple of weeks ago, my friend's package got hijacked off the UPS store.
Oh, right.
I mean,
Yeah.
the UPS truck.
Right.
Um, it's like, okay, let's deal with that and get in front of it and say, hey, John Q customer, yeah, we had a little problem with your order, and yeah, and go that route. Too many
Right.
times. I mean, and I shouldn't say too many times. It's probably two or three times. It's like you're following the tracking, and all of a sudden it just like falls off the earth. It hasn't moved in 3 days, and it's
Yeah.
like, what's going on here? I mean, I
Yep.
paid for this. I need this, and it's like gets lost or something, and
Yeah.
it ends up either it got lost, it got damaged, got run over, got delivered to the went on the wrong truck and then not delivered, something like that. So
Right.
it
Sure.
happens. So
Yeah.
take advantage of it. Have the technology to notify customer service when that happens so that they
Right.
can reach out to that end customer and say, listen, we had a little issue. We're taking care of it on our end. Or we had a little issue and you're going to have to reorder that product. Something along those lines. And,
Right. Sure.
you know, we have the technology to do that. And,
Hmm.
it comes down to if we had AI working on a tracking system and it sees something hasn't moved in 3 days, it should be able to detect that and, you know, create a task or send a note to
Yeah.
customer service to deal with that.
Right.
So, that's just one side of it. The other side of the technology here is, we can very easily build a technology to get the drivers to their routes faster, to get the products
Sure.
delivered faster.
Yeah.
Um,
Route planning is a huge
Route
thing. Like
planning is
we
huge.
talked about that, right?
Yeah, we talked
How
about that,
valuable it
and
can be. Yeah.
that's funny because way back when, it was probably like 8 years ago, I was looking at software that was used for landscapers, and it actually wanted you to put in your properties so it could map the fastest path to all of your properties and tell you which properties to do in which order. And that was
Mm.
kind of amazing. And
Yeah. No kidding.
uh, client didn't go for it. It was a little too expensive for them at that point, but I really wanted to see
Yeah.
that in action. But
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
those types of tools are fantastic. There are some others that exist as well that are also worth considering too, and that would be like predictive analytic tools that can help you to understand and forecast, right? So we talked about how important it is to have inventory in the right spots. Well, if you have some predictive analysis that can give you a couple month projection of where you're going to use inventory and where your levels are going to be, that can help you to avoid stockouts. That can help you to avoid the issues that we've been talking about here. And so there are tools that exist that can help you to just have better performance overall. Again, Walmart, Amazon, they're great examples of this. Walmart had a 20% reduction in delivery cost per order because of AI-driven optimizations. And you can do the same thing. So you can use shipping automation software, things like ShipStation, which Jay, I know I made a joke about how I mean, we talked about a ShipStation thing just a couple weeks ago, and I made a joke about how a ShipBob or somebody, they're like still in my feed from before. ShipStation should probably be there too. But there's a few others that came up in our research. Easy Post, Route, these shipping automation softwares, they can be really powerful in allowing you to take yourself out of the process here. And then things like Inventory Planner or Cogsy, which are inventory or AI powered inventory tools, those can be also really, really useful in making sure that you're managing these processes properly.
Yeah, most of your ERP or your inventory platforms are including some sort of AI driven factor in it today. So,
Yeah,
if you're not using one of these tools, I would really look at them and see how they would fit in your workflow and your business and how they could help, change that impact.
absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that you should be looking at, right, are where are you doing things yourself? Like, what are the manual processes that you're doing today? Because if you can start to pull those out of the process and the workflow, then you'll be able to identify, like, well, because AI can do a lot of those things, right? So if you can identify the areas where your input is heavy, you can start to automate those things by using these tools. Um, Jay, one other thing that that can cause a lot of shipping related issues are economic or consumer activism. So how do you manage those types of things? And Jay, I think we'll talk about it more later. But do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on today?
Yeah, today is supposed to be an economic blackout, and we
Yeah.
are supposed to boycott large stores and using your credit cards for purchases. This is driven by the People's Union, and it is supposed to be in effect a protest to the companies reversing their stances on DEI. So,
Mhm.
and just wanted to talk about it, and it's happening today, right now. And
Right.
that's why earlier, as I hit the start button, I said, "I'm not going to that store today," and
That's
because I
right.
remembered at that moment. But yeah, we're gonna talk about this a little deeper next week because I truly want to know what the impact of it was. So we're gonna table some of that conversation till then. But how do you deal with that? It's one of those things where it's like you have no orders today,
Mm.
and odds are what happens when you have a single day boycott. You either do your purchasing the day before or the day after, which means if you know it's coming and you think you might be impacted, oh, no, okay, warehouse staff, take the day off, but we're going to need you to work 16 hours tomorrow. So that's one of those ways to truly deal with that. So I don't know any other way of dealing with that, but you know, try to stay ahead of it and be
Yeah.
knowledgeable and communicate
Well, and
internally and
Jay,
externally.
yeah, obviously these types of events can disrupt your supply chain, right?
Yeah.
People are going to stop buying your stuff for the day. They're going to double buy the next day. Like there are lots of ways that this impacts you, and so you do want to make sure you're managing your own strategies to be able to take care of this. If we think about the Amazon strikes that had happened, right, where some of their unionized staff were taking off, right, like that is a very small example because Amazon basically had no real impact from this, but an over reliance on a single fulfillment partner or a single partner throughout your supply chain like can set you up for this, right? So that's another reason why it can be important to have multiple fulfillment partners or multiple options as a fulfillment strategy, so that in the event that you do run into one of these issues, and maybe again for a very good cause, you can at least manage around it. And then, of course, we've talked about this before too. Like in a situation like that, you want to have a contingency plan, right? You want to you as you head into this period where you know something's going to happen or something is going to be different than it normally would be. Like build a plan. If X, then Y. if Y, then Z. Just make sure that you have a plan around how you can how you can reduce risk for yourself, and also make sure that you're still managing to achieve all of the things that you need to achieve. Um, Jay, do you have any other thoughts or comments around consumer activism or anything like that?
No, not on that. I do want to go back though a little bit.
Yeah,
You talked
let's.
about using AI, and
Yeah.
in our notes we have using a tool for rate optimization.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So one thing when I look at that, I always think of the outer shipping carton box size. So
Hmm.
when you are shipping through UPS and FedEx,
Yeah.
they put a weight and a size component on the price. So if you can minimize the size of that outer carton to be the most safe size with the most appropriate amount of packing in that box, you
Right.
can save on that price, and that will just basically drop profits to your bottom line by saving that cost.
Right.
So, that's one of those efficiencies you truly want to look at.
Absolutely. I think that's a great example. Um, now that's a go back. Do you have other? What's your favorite thing that we talked about today? So if you were to like summarize down, here's what you need to do today. So to key insights, like what do you think the three most critical takeaways are today? Let's see if they're different than mine.
What the three things I would do today
Yep.
would be to look at my number of packages shipped over the last 3 months and
Mm-hmm.
see if they've increased. And if they have, I would schedule a meeting with my shipping company rep and talk about reducing that cost. Number two, I would look into an inventory app that will ensure that all of my sales channels are syncing the available quantities for sale to them so
Mm-hmm.
they will not go into an oversold situation, and also to use that data for predictability in the future. And the last thing I would do is, let's see, I would start looking at investing in AI on my
Yeah.
logistics.
Yeah. And that's kind of crazy because those things, while they're very similar to the things that I would talk about, I think that the three things I would do are first you look at the manual processes that you have, right? Identify those areas where you can use AI, and then invest in the
Mm-hmm.
AI in that area, right? So those two things go hand in hand for sure. And then the second one would be to ensure, like we talked about with Sin 7 or some other products, ensure that your system is built in a way that everything is well integrated together so that your shipping and order management and inventory are all in one place for your ability to look at it, because that connection can be so important. Um, and then of course, I think like I mentioned, looking at the manual parts of the process lead to the investment, and I do think that investment in technology more broadly than necessarily just AI can be so powerful because it can help you in so many different areas. It can help you in your routes. It can help you in where you're holding your product. It can help you in when you're ordering your product and how you're getting it to places. There's so much value in being able to do that. Um, Jay, any other final thoughts or any other notes or thoughts or strategies today?
Last thing I want to say is, it's the end of a busy week. Say thank you to your warehouse team because they've been busting their butt all week getting those packages out.
That's right.
So, yeah.
That's right. That's right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Jay, as we head into the weekend, or what's your biggest challenge heading into the weekend?
My biggest challenge is getting some sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I've had a couple of really bad insomnia sessions the last 2 nights,
Yeah, I don't
and
like to hear that.
if you remember, I love doing automations. Setting up for this session this morning, I was
Uh-huh.
doing like 7 different things, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could see everything in my head. I just closed my eyes, and I could see the gears turning,
Uh-huh.
and things just happening. So it's like I want to work on that this weekend, but I don't. Yeah. not going to happen this weekend. But
Yeah,
I might have some diagrams or something like that. But I got other things I got to get done this weekend. But yeah, fun
right.
stuff.
That does sound like fun stuff. Um, what uh where are we at? Where are we racing this weekend, Jay?
We're in Texas.
Are you? You're around the corner. I need to call my brother up.
Well,
See if he can get
Austin.
out of town. Oh, that's the wrong. That's not my Texas. So
Yeah,
we're
they're
road
running the
racing
road
today.
course
Let's
in Coda.
go. And
Yeah,
yeah, like that's fun. That course. I don't. I have you been to Austin very many times, Jay?
I've been to Austin enough,
Uh-huh.
and apparently not enough because I never saw the race course.
Yeah. It is outside of the city,
Yeah,
so I'm not like hugely surprised that you didn't see
yeah,
the race course. But if you are driving outside of the city, so if you drive down uh, the like there's a so 35 is the one that goes through the main
right.
city, but there's a road around it. If you drive down the road around it, like you can see it off in the distance there because it's got the big hill
Right.
where they come drop down, and that is you can see that from a really long way away.
Yeah,
so so that's definitely a thing that I think is that I always think is pretty fun. Like it's always a cool thing to
yeah.
see the road course when you're driving by it there. Um, so that's fun. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Are your drivers any good at the road courses, Jay?
Uh, uh, Bowman has done fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
He last year I don't remember how he finished. Year
Yeah.
before I believe he was fighting for the lead and had a bumping session with a couple turns to go.
Oh
So
yeah.
he does fairly well, and he won Chicago last year. So he's
Nice.
coming off a road course win. So
Oh yeah. There you go.
and then Blaney, he's a former champ. He's good anywhere.
Oh
So
okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Nice then. Well, we'll be interested in that. I'm trying to think of if I have any plans this weekend, and I kind of think I don't, which maybe is the first time that's been the case
that's
in a while.
that's a good
So
thing.
yeah, so I'm gonna try to take advantage. Maybe I'll get some sleep myself,
There you go.
or maybe I'll order something for quick delivery. Um, we'll I guess we'll see. I guess we'll
Real
see.
quick story there with the quick
Uh,
delivery and
yeah,
Walmart.
yeah.
So I was placing an order, and so I needed some groceries and ordered that. And
Hmm.
one of the items wasn't available. It says we could have this item delivered separately,
Oh
and
yeah. Okay.
will still come today, but separately. I mean, that takes a little added cost there, and I
Yeah.
was
Right.
really surprised by that.
But did you appreciate that it was happening that way?
I did. I did
Yeah.
because it was something
Yeah.
that my wife wanted, and I
Mm.
wanted to make sure she had it without having to go out to another store to get it.
Yeah. So that's
So yeah,
really good then, right?
yeah,
Um, yeah. Nice. Well, that is a weird thing. So pretty good
for
there.
sure.
Pretty good there. So again, we'll leave you with that as a strategy. Maybe that filled from two different stores, right? One store was out of stock, the other store was in stock, but they're both close enough they
Right.
can get to you in the same day. So that's
Yeah,
a multi-centered location thing for them. Like
for
so,
sure.
who
Yeah.
knows, right? Yeah.
So,
So
but
that
if you have a story about any shipping snafu or shipping successes or
yeah.
logistical successes, drop them down in the comments. We want to know. We want to, find out what you're doing to make your operation successful. And if your operation was hit by today's boycott, let us know about
Yeah,
that too. We
I would
want to
love
know
to
more
hear
about
about
that.
that. Yep.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that next week.
Absolutely. And so we'll see you then, right back here, same place, same time. You know who to see. Jay over there, me right here.
Him
We'll
over
see
there.
you
Yeah.
next week.
We'll see you next week. Take care,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.